The designers behind Volvo's XC70 were the first to realise that a large all-wheel drive estate car with a modicum of off-road ability and SUV styling cues could tempt buyers who couldn't quite stomach the thought of a fully fledged 4x4. In improved second-generation guise, it continues to offer either a stepping stone or an alternative to SUV ownership. Strange to remember it now, but it took Volvo, master of the Scandinavian winter, until 2002 to bring us an SUV. 3 years before their XC90 arrived, however, the Swedes were dipping their toes into 4x4 territory with all-wheel drive versions of their large V70 estate. Now, you could have the basic car with four-driven wheels, but for really rutted farm tracks, something with a bit more sophistication and greater ride height was really required. First badged XC, then cross-country, the resulting design became a fully fledged model in its own right when relaunched as the XC70 in 2002. Now we're looking here at an improved version of the second generation model launched in 2007, aimed directly at its arch-rival Audi's A6 Allroad, as well as at buyers who secretly crave an SUV but don't want to be seen in one. With a high centre of gravity and close to 1.9 tonne weight, the XC70 was never going to be the ultimate driver's car, but you could argue that it's close to being the ultimate driver's compromise. Now, unless the optional 4C active suspension has rather unwisely encouraged you to throw the thing around a bit, you should find that it's pretty much like a standard V70 to drive, complete with rather vague steering and ride quality that's better at higher speeds than it is around town. Yet venture onto the dirt and you'll probably find that this car will do 99% of what most SUV owners require. Now, since those requirements aren't normally too onerous, then you shouldn't read too much into that. But a raised ride height, which sees this car sitting 74mm higher than a standard Volvo V70, plus a sophisticated Haldex four-wheel drive system and an electronically controlled hydraulic clutch that distributes power to the wheels that can best use it, should help your XC70 easily deal with muddy car parks and snowy winter snaps. Approach, departure and breakover angles all better those of Audi's rival A6 Allroad, although that car counters with clever height adjustable air suspension that this one lacks. Plus a 300mm possible wading depth should see you through the worst of the winter storms. Now, all this does not a Land Rover make, but Volvo have at least borrowed the Solihull company's clever hill descent control system, which eases you down steep, slimy slopes using the ABS, with 10 miles an hour as a maximum. Now, this isn't a feature of the 175 PS entry-level 2.4D drive model that I'm driving here, for the simple reason that in a bid to reduce running costs and to satisfy buyers more interested in style and substance, it doesn't actually have four-wheel drive. Doing the job properly with four-driven wheels will necessitate selection of the 205 PS 2.4 litre D5 diesel model, or less likely the 285 PS flagship petrol T6. Now, the D5 that most will choose makes 60 from rest in 7.9 seconds to the accompaniment of an infectious snarl on the way to a maximum of 134 miles an hour, which is about as fast as you want to go in a car of this kind. The XC70's macho styling is the antidote to its more restrained Audi rival. As well as the scratch-proof cladding on the sides and the arches, you can also expect to find the chunky front bumpers, chrome door sill plates, blacked out side pillars and C30 inspired tail lights. You've also got XC embossed roof rails as standard fit, while the front and rear crash plates leave onlookers in no doubt as to this car's dual-purpose role. Inside you'll find a large cabin built to withstand a lifetime of hard use with smart and durable fixtures and fittings. It isn't only the engines that are rugged. At the wheel, you don't get the high driving position that Volvo XC90 owners love, but with multiple adjustment for both seat and for the wheel, it's easy to find the perfect driving position. And the seats are amongst the most comfortable that you'll come across. At the rear, both head and legroom are considerably better than the similarly targeted Audi A4 Allroad, Saab 93X and Subaru Forester models that could easily end up costing you the same kind of money. The same is true out back, with 575 litres of loading space. That's enough for a washing machine and all its packaging, or, according to Volvo, 5 large suitcases and 1 medium one, plus a couple of rucksacks. Capacity beyond even Audi's large A6 Allroad. If that's really not sufficient, then space is extendable to 1600 litres if you flatten a rear seat, which you can fold 40-20-40 and which can be specified with built-in child booster seats. There's also a secure storage area here to keep valuable items out of the way of prying eyes, although it's so shallow that you could only really put here paperwork or items that you'd recently run over. There's an optional dog guard, which canine owners will love. And there are plenty of straps and hooks to help tie down items with wayward tendencies, even a luggage net. List prices suggest that depending on the spec that you've chosen, you'll be paying from just under £30,000 to just under £40,000 for your Volvo XC70. Now that represents a premium of around £2,500 on a two-wheel drive Volvo V70. But it may be some peace of mind to know that you'll be paying around £400 less model for model than you would if you ticked the all-wheel drive box on a standard V70 model. Now, if you're comparing this car with its arch rival Audi's A6 Allroad, the news is even better. The XC70 D5 diesel model has more power than an Allroad A6 2.7 TDI, yet costs a whopping £6,000 or so less, while the XC70 T6 petrol flagship has nearly as much power as the A6 Allroad 3-litre TFSI model, yet costs around £4,500 less. Though there are 3 XC70 models to choose from, the availability of the entry-level 2.4D 175 PS diesel only with two-wheel drive and the high running costs of the flagship 285 PS petrol T6 mean that potential buyers tend to gravitate towards the mid-range D5 205 PS diesel, whether they want to or not. Now, diesel buyers get a choice of 2 transmissions, a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed Geartronic automatic with a sequential manual mode. The petrol T6 is automatic only. All models get alloy wheels, a powered driver's seat, a decent quality 8-speaker CD stereo, climate controlled air conditioning, aluminium trim, power mirrors, electric windows and roof rails. Plus one silly feature I can't help liking, which is the digital compass built into the rear view mirror. In terms of safety, well, as you might expect from a Volvo, this is about as safe as family cars get. Not only thanks to the plethora of 2-stage airbags and WH-IPS whips anti-whiplash protection, but also due to the way that this front crumple zone is constructed out of no fewer than 4 different strengths of steel. Standard traction and stability control, plus ABS with brake assist to help you in emergency stops, and electronic brake force distribution to maximise its effectiveness, all of that should help you from crashing in the first place. Despite its heavy weight, your XC70 needn't cost the earth to run. The D5 model, for example, should average around 14 miles to the gallon on a regular basis, as long as you drive it conservatively, while the 2.4 drive model that I've got here uses various eco tweaks to keep fuel economy to 47 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle, with 159 grams per kilometre of CO2. But its absence of four-wheel drive removes much of the point of this car. Residual values aren't quite at Audi levels, but they're very close. Insurance costs between groups 15 and 18 are always an issue with prestige brands, but Volvo owners have a long and careful track history in this regard, and that should help keep your premiums down. Volvo sells 5 standard V70 models for every XC70 that it sells in the UK. A ratio which, interestingly, is almost exactly reversed in the States, where this car is 5 times more popular. Who has it right? Well, on paper you might struggle to justify the XC70's premium, but on the road it's a car that might well grow on you. This Volvo's image is at the same time understated, yet while being in many ways harder hitting, it's an appealing balance. Alright, so these are hardly unique virtues for an all-wheel drive estate, but you have to point out that this car's only real rivals are either smaller or considerably more expensive. In the final analysis, the XC70 is everything you'd expect a go-anywhere Volvo estate to be. Rugged, practical, beautifully built and supremely reliable. Very Scandinavian.